In this report, I'll share the cost to retire early in the Sri Lankan highlands, including rents, utilities, groceries, restaurants, transportation, and other expenses for low to middle range living costs. After completing our retirement research in 𝗏𝗏, Sri Lanka, we headed north for the hills. We wanted to tour the highlands where it's cooler and hit some famous tourist spots while we looked for a cool highlands community for retirement. So we traveled through Udawalawa, 𝗓𝗏, Kandy, Dambulla, and finally back to the Colombo International Airport for our departure to Turkey. Some by bus, some by taxi, some by train, as we shall now explain. Then I'll explain which place we would retire in the high country. The 𝗏𝗏 main bus station was just 2 blocks from where we stayed, so we rolled our luggage down to the bus station and jumped on a bus north to see wild elephants in Udawalawa National Park. The bus to Udawalawa was leaving 𝗏𝗏 twice a day when we were there at 6:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Just ask the guy in the white information booth where to stand to catch the bus to Udawalawa. He walked us over to the spot to wait for the bus. As each bus passed, we asked, "Udawalawa?" and we jumped on when they said yes. They even had a place to store our luggage. When we were near Udawalawa, we called our accommodations host and handed our phone to the bus attendant so our accommodations host could tell the bus attendant where to drop us in Udawalawa. Our host was waiting at that spot when the bus dropped us there. We had booked a few nights at our accommodations, the 𝗓𝗏 cottage, for $14 per night. The place was amazing and included breakfast. They even booked our elephant guide and jeep tour into the national park. Wild Elephant Safari. Our guide was amazing and even saved our lives by hitting the gas pedal hard when a bull elephant charged from the side with little warning. It had been 15 years since I'd seen wild elephants. They were just as beautiful and graceful as I saw them in Africa in 2010. We even got to watch a mother elephant bathing her young elephant. We also saw beautiful birds, alligators, and monkeys, among other things. We ate at 2 great restaurants while in Udawalawa, links below, but our favorite meal was a lunch prepared for us at our accommodations, so make sure to try their food also. As always, links to all of the resources we collected for you are at the first link and the notes below this video at our webpage. Okay, next we headed further up into the mountains to a gorgeous mountain town called 𝗓𝗏. 𝗓𝗏 is famous for its beautiful steep mountain terrain and for the 9 Arches train bridge. We hired a taxi to drive us to 𝗓𝗏 for 13K SLR, or $43 US, which took about 2.5 hours. The taxi was suggested to us by our host in Udawalawa, and he was a great driver, which we list below. Cool mountain weather and waterfalls. 𝗓𝗏 was the highest elevation we encountered in Sri Lanka and had the most beautiful landscape, but it was also a bit too touristy for our taste, and the restaurants and accommodations reflected that with higher prices. But we enjoyed some great overpriced food, and we took a tour of the tea plantation, the 9 Arches Bridge, Ravana Falls, Ravana Pool Club, and the Cave Temple. The tuk-tuk cost 12K SLR, or $40 USD, for about half a day for this tour. Our accommodations in 𝗓𝗏 were $16 USD per night, but we were not happy with them, so we'll not recommend staying there. We include all of our restaurants and other resources we used while in 𝗓𝗏 in the report below. Next, we head to Kandy. Most beautiful train ride in the world. Many tourists who come to Sri Lanka's highlands say that the train from Ella to Kandy is the most beautiful train ride in the world. I haven't been on all the trains, so I can't confirm that, but I can tell you this train ride is amazing. You catch the train here in Ella, and it drops you here in Kandy. Links provided. We bought our train tickets at Ella Station. The first class train is 2,500 SLR or $8.33 USD per person. The taxi from the train station to our accommodations was 500 SLR or $1.67. Kandy is where we would stay long term if we decided to retire in Sri Lanka. So I'll save details about Kandy for last. So now I'll talk about our last stop on the tour of Sri Lanka Highlands before returning to the airport to depart. 𝗪𝐶 and 𝗙ambula. We took a taxi from Kandy to 𝗙ambula for 12K SLR or $40 US. This guy was a crazy dangerous driver, so we won't share his contact information with you, but I'll share a contact number below for ordering taxis all over Sri Lanka. We went to 𝗙ambula to see two very important historical places for Sri Lanka. After I discuss 𝗙ambula, I'll tell you about our favorite place, Kandy, along with an estimated cost of living there and my retirement desirability factors and score. Okay, in 𝗙ambula, you must go see Sigiriya, which is also known as Lion Rock. It was selected by King 𝗂𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐴 in 477 AD to build his palace where he could safely keep his wives, mistresses, and servants. If you would like to learn how I fired my boss and traveled the world for 16 years and how I pay for things, grab a free copy of my ebook. While there, make sure to see the topless frescoes or paintings of a dozen or so of the king's most beautiful mistresses. They can't be shown here because someone might perceive it as pornography instead of a significant work of art. But you can Google Sigiriya Wikipedia to see these exquisite ancient cave paintings. The other thing you must see in 𝗙ambula is the 𝗙ambula Cave Temple. The 𝗙ambula Cave Temple is the largest and best preserved cave temple in Sri Lanka. The rock towers 160 meters over the surrounding plains. There are more than 80 documented caves in the surrounding area. Major attractions are spread over 5 caves, which contain statues and paintings. We spent a few days in 𝗙ambula before heading back to Colombo International Airport to catch our flight to Istanbul. More on Istanbul in future reports. Now I'll show you video of Kandy, Sri Lanka, while I share our estimated cost of living there, our desirability factors. But you should know that our estimated living costs for Sri Lanka are more than double what this Australian shared with us in his interview. I'll include a link to that interview also. Estimated costs to retire in Kandy, Sri Lanka. Here are my estimated costs of living converted into US dollars if the two of us move to Kandy, Sri Lanka year-round on a tight budget. We also include some typical expenses we've heard from other expats to give you another data point. I found this furnished 1-bedroom, 1-bath house for rent for 75K SLR, which is 250 USD per month on a 12-month rental rate in the city of Kandy. If you rent for a shorter period of time, say on Airbnb, it would be much more expensive. If you rented a larger home or townhouse, the rent would be higher, about 450 US dollars per month. Here's the process we use to find great apartments. So we'll show you a table of all expenses in a moment. We'll use $250 per month for our lower rent estimate and $450 per month for the middle cost of living estimate for expats who want more space. Utilities. We estimate the year-round average for our utilities would be about $50 per month. The utilities would be more for expats that rent the larger space, or $70 per month. Groceries. We normally shop for fresh fruits and vegetables in wet markets to save money rather than the more expensive grocery stores, but also shop in grocery stores for things like shampoo and detergents. We estimate about $250 per month USD for groceries. Other expats are likely to shop more often in expensive grocery stores, often spending more than $400 per month on groceries. Restaurants. We would go out to eat 2 or 3 times per week, mostly in more local style restaurants, averaging $3 to $5 per month, but also in tourist or expat style restaurants for about $8 per meal per person. If you add that up, we would spend around $45 per week or $180 per month in restaurants for the two of us. Other expats are likely to spend more in Western-style foods in expensive expat-style restaurants and less in local-style restaurants, so they would likely spend around $280 per month for 2 people in restaurants.
Could you please help me with something? You've probably watched our guest star interviews on our guest star playlist. I interview people that have retired overseas. They share valuable information such as cost of living, safety concerns, finding love overseas, healthcare experiences, and money problems. If you'd like to share something that you have learned living overseas, please come to vagabondbuddha.com, click the More tab, click the Contact Me tab, and tell me about what you would like to share with my channel.
Okay, cell phone data. The cost to recharge our Mobitel prepaid smartphone service was $4 per month. My Android phone will act as a hotspot so we can both be on the internet at the same time when we're out of the house together. Other expat couples are likely to buy 2 prepaid SIM cards, so they would spend about $8 per month. Laundry. We would spend about $38 per month sending out our laundry. Drinking water. We would spend about $12 per month for reverse osmosis drinking water. Internet. 80 megabits per second up and down is about $10 USD for in-home Wi-Fi. Transportation. We would take local buses or trains for a change of pace. The buses usually cost around 70 SLR or 23 USD cents per person each way. We estimate about $16 per month for the two of us for transportation. Other expats walk less and spend more on transportation, so $60 per month. Alcohol. Large local beers, line beers at 500 milliliters, are about $2.33 USD in stores and about $3.40 USD in restaurants. So we would spend about $120 per month on alcohol for the two of us. Many other expats would spend a higher amount for imported, foreign, or craft beers in expat bars, so about $220 per month for 2 people, assuming they're not into imported whiskey or wine. Entertainment, which is optional, we would budget about $200 per month for entertainment for the two of us. We generally enjoy more do-it-yourself kinds of entertainment, so expats would spend a little more, maybe $300 per month for 2 of them. Okay, estimated cost to retire early in Sri Lanka highlands. For the lower estimate, $250 for rent, $50 for utilities, $250 for groceries, $180 for restaurants, $4 for cell data, $38 for laundry, $12 for drinking water, $10 for internet, and $16 for transportation. If you add that up, it's $810 per month for basic cost of living. If you add optional alcohol of $120 per month to that, it would put you at $930 per month. If you had optional entertainment of $200, it would have put you at $1,130 per month for the total lower in estimate, including the options. For the middle cost of living, The basic costs would total $1,328 with the higher rents and other things. If you had the optional alcohol, it would total $1,540, and the optional entertainment, it would total $1,840 per month. The above lower estimated cost of living would be if the two of us lived in Kandy, Sri Lanka on a tight budget. The middle estimate is just an example of what other expats might spend if they moved here. To understand what it would cost you to live here, you must put your feet on the ground, see how you would choose to live, eat, and entertain yourself, and add it all up. It doesn't matter what anyone else spends because we are all different. Why we would live in Kandy instead of 𝐿𝐴? First, Udawalawa and Dambulla are much too small for me to consider for long term. I would get bored out of my mind in a matter of a few weeks. For me, that leaves 𝐿𝐴 and Kandy to consider for long-term living. We really enjoyed spending time in 𝐿𝐴. 𝐿𝐴 is at 1,140 meters or 3,400 feet above sea level, so it's much cooler than Kandy. But it is so highly concentrated with tourists that everything there is too expensive and not Sri Lankan enough for my taste. But Kandy, although a significant tourism hub, because of its amazing history, temples, and culture, it also has a very distinct, separate, and significant Sri Lankan culture, so it would allow me to learn more about myself and Sri Lanka if I lived here. Now, this video has gone on a bit longer than expected, so I'll cover the Kandy livability factors in writing at the first link in the notes below this video. I'll include walkability, internet, food, weather, things to do, social considerations, expat communities, medical, visas, hospitals, real estate, and our Kandy overall retirement desirability score. I'll also include links to all the resources we learned about and gathered on our tour of the Sri Lankan highlands, such as our favorite restaurants, where we stayed, and how we got to each locations, and things we did also. Thanks for watching our video, Retire Early in Sri Lanka Highlands. Click the video in the upper right-hand corner of the screen now if you'd like to learn how this Australian lives on $400 per month in Sri Lanka. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook if you'd like to know how I was able to retire early and start traveling the world more than 17 years ago.